Welcome back to Not Man Enough Podcast, and we have a little bit of a different episode. Honestly, this is our second go at this episode. We kind of wanted to get this one right, and it's dealing with the tragedy that happened on September 10th, Charlie Kirk assassination, and we actually already recorded one, and we weren't satisfied with it, and the audio ended up being bad anyway. So I kind of consider that a blessing that we could go back and reconsider how we approach this, because we want to be a blessing to the people of God, and maybe make sure that we get this right. So we're going to come at it from a little bit of a different angle today than what we did before. And I've got Matt with us. I've got Tren, and Sam couldn't make it, so he wasn't feeling good. So, man, hopefully he gets better soon. I mean, I think that we just want to make sure that this is something that we don't let our emotions override and stuff like that. And it's been a few days to where we kind of settle our thoughts and really think through what we want to communicate and how we want to communicate it. I think that I did a monologue, and we don't ever do monologues here. And it's interesting. I did my first monologue, and I agree with everything I said in the monologue, and I'm not ashamed of it at all. But it was crazy because it was like when I came up with the monologue and we recorded, I was like, I don't know if anybody's going to be saying these things. And I've heard so many people say the exact same things. So it's like, man, they're saying it better than me. Nobody needs to hear me say this stuff. So it's like, let's try something else here. And so anyway, I think that we just need to be careful how we go about this, especially as Christians. And anyway, I wanted to come from it from an angle of two different generations. I'm obviously from an older generation than y'all two. Y'all are young. Y'all obviously don't remember 9/11. Y'all would have been too young. Well, Matt?
No, I was too young. Yeah. I was like three, I think, when it happened.
Yeah,
so.
and I would have been like 10 months old. So.
Yeah, no, I know how old you were.
Oh, yeah, you were there.
Yeah.
Yeah, with me.
And
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I didn't abandon my children.
I don't remember you being there. Weird.
Anyway, so and the reason why I want to get I want this to be more of a conversation where I'm kind of asking y'all questions from y'all's generation, y'all's perspective on this, because I have like the experience of like 9/11, which I think was a turning point for America, whether good or bad. We could go through that. I think ultimately ended up not being great, quite honestly. But I want to get y'all's viewpoint from y'all's perspective on this, because, and I communicated in the last episode, I thought that this is the first time I had the same feeling I did on 9/11. Since 9/11, that there was a sense of disgust. There was a sense of, I want justice. There was a sense of, there are people that hate every fiber of your being for just what you believe. And that's what I felt on 9/11. Now, I know the casualty count isn't the same. I know it's not exactly the same. I'm not trying to equate the two completely. But when I'm talking about experientially, that's what I experienced again. And so I want to talk to y'all and see from y'all's perspective, what do y'all think about it? I mean, do y'all think that this is something that is going to change the direction of this country? Things like that. I just want to know where y'all are at, what y'all think. I think I kind of know. But for other people that might not, who's wondering, hey, y'all's generation, younger but adult men, right?
Yeah.
And get y'all's perspective on it. And so I think we'll just start with that. How did y'all know Charlie Kirk? Did y'all follow him much? I guess we'll start with Matt or Trent. It doesn't matter. Just tell me. Did y'all know of him much?
Yeah. So, I mean, just to back it up a bit, I agree with you in the sense of I think this is different for this generation in the sense of I can't think of anything in my lifetime that was this, tragic of an event where all the eyes are locked on it, where it's like you see like how even the globe is reacting to this.
Yeah.
It's like I can't think of anything in my life that's like this. So for my generation and like Trent's generation, I think this is our 9/11 in a sense.
Yeah, in a sense, yeah.
Yeah.
And just seeing where just all the people kind of on one side of the aisle for sure kind of joining together and saying, hey, we're fighting back against this.
Yeah.
But so I didn't ever follow Charlie Kirk like super close. I started listening to him. I was telling Trent about this the other day. Actually, I listened to interviews with him and things like that, and I saw his YouTube videos of him on campus and stuff.
Like the shorts and stuff mainly? Yeah.
Yeah, mainly the shorts. But one of the first long form videos I listened to him was he went on a podcast called the Whatever Podcast, where he was surrounded by OnlyFans girls.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he did
I
that.
never saw that.
Really good episode. I never listened to that podcast. I just heard of it from seeing the same thing. Saw shorts and stuff like that of people going on there trying to own these girls and stuff. Always just was kind of like whatever. And that's all. He went on there, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
that's intriguing. And I went and listened to it. And I was telling Trent this. I was like, when he ended that podcast, the girls literally looked at him and said, "We've never had anyone treat us the way you've."
He brought dignity to him.
Yeah, and the whole time debating them on abortion, debating them on, and then telling them, he ends the podcast, throughout the whole podcast, he's telling them Christian values and like saying, hey, I think what you're doing is sinful.
Yeah.
I think you're ruining your life. This is why I think, God's purpose is greater for you. Like it's a blessing to be a wife and a mother and all this, and he even ends the podcast with sharing the gospel with them. And you can see that, they're quiet the whole time there. And then that's how they respond to saying, hey, you're so respectful.
So that video, how long ago was that you watched?
I would have to pull it up. I'll pull it up in a little bit just to see it was at least a couple years ago, probably.
Okay, so years.
Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking months or whatever. Okay, so a couple years. What about you, Trim? What was your interaction with Charlie Kirk? How often?
Yeah, not a ton. I wish it would have been more. Sad to think that it was this tragedy that is kind of what made me go look more into it. But same thing. Clips, a lot of shorts. Me and Matt had some conversations about them. Mostly, we had some conversations about them when we one of us had heard. I had heard him talk about the gospel, and I called Matt, and I was like, hey, I think this guy's a believer. Just because a lot of the political type guys we listen to, although we agree with them on a lot, there's a lot of common grace. They're not. We don't necessarily feel like we're fully on the same team.
Theological
team.
Right.
Because but whereas Charlie, it was different, and that seemed kind of visible. But even then, I still didn't follow him that much.
Yeah.
But now, quite a lot. I've been watching a ton of his stuff, and I think you're 100% right. You said this is our generation's kind of 9/11, and I've heard many people around me and Matt's age, and myself included. I asked the same question. I know I told you this. The question I asked was, I've never felt this way before. What is this? How do I even think about this? How do I handle this? And I think when 9/11 happened, people felt the way they did because it was, yes, the loss of life was so massive, and it was horrible and it was horrific. They also felt that way because everybody felt personally attacked as an American, and I think that's the way it is now. This was, I'll put it to you this way. All three of us would have said the exact same things Charlie Kirk would have said, and if it had been us in that chair, we would have been shot.
Yeah, I think that y'all are both spot on. Again, I'm not equating 9/11 with this, but there is a revelation given that it's like, no, people really do hate us that much.
Yeah, we all
Yeah.
feel personally attacked.
And there was even like not even Christian commentators that said that they, again, and I mentioned this on the last podcast, but you got Theo Vaughn interacting with this. Theo Vaughn, and he says that he feels like a part of his soul was ripped out. He didn't even follow Charlie Kirk. And I think that when you have that revelation that people hate you so much that they will do these terrible things, and you didn't do anything to them personally at all. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and so it's this when you're confronted with it, there's this rage, rightfully so. And I have committed to myself to not stop being angry over this incident.
Yeah.
Honestly, I keep reminding myself not to be passive on this, in the sense of like, I need to be angry over this. It's something that deserves it. It's evil. But when you're confronted with that type of evil and stuff like that, it's world changing. It enacts, after 9/11, and how many people went and joined the military?
Mm-hmm.
A ton.
A lot. Yeah.
I think that the primary difference this time around, and I want to interact with y'all on this because back when I was growing up, the left side of the aisle and the right side of the aisle, it was they disagreed on taxes. They disagreed on Social Security. They disagreed on like things like that. There was always since abortion was introduced, there was always abortion that was a dividing line for sure. But even on that side on the left, it was like it's tragic and rare and should only be the extreme cases, was kind of the thing.
Yeah.
And so when
that's what, not to interrupt, sorry, but that's what Hillary Clinton said in the 90s.
That was Bill Clinton's. That's how he got
ran
elected.
on is saying, hey, rare and
I forgot the exact saying.
It should always be rare and safe and rare. That was what they safe and rare.
Yeah, and although we even disagree with that and think it's horrible, I'm not making excuses.
Yeah.
But there was a sense where after 9/11 there was a sense of unity. And between the Democrats and the Republicans, everybody hung American flags. Everybody kind of joined. There was a unity that was able to come about through it, temporary, obviously. It didn't even last for 8 years, or even 4. But the bottom line is there was a unity there as fellow Americans. How do y'all feel about that? Because y'all have grown up in a completely different polarizing political era. Like, since y'all have been paying attention to politics, it's been a different story.
Yeah.
And so I want to know y'all's perspective on that.
I remember, so a thought, as you were talking, I was thinking through of like, I remember when the first like president being elected that I vividly remember like was Obama. I remember Obama
For
just
me, it
because
was Reagan. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. But I'm saying, like, I remember Bush and stuff like that, like vaguely, but like my parents never, like my dad didn't like talk to a 6-year-old about politics and stuff very much. But I remember when Obama was getting elected, like I remember hearing lots of conversations. Like there was people around who were concerned, yeah. And so I remember that was like a vivid one. I remember my dad, like seeing my dad be like really disappointed when he saw that Obama was like. But just to show you the contrast is when Obama was elected, a lot of people don't think about this. Obama was anti-gay marriage.
Yes.
And that's how radical the shift has been since then. Is he the only way? Which I don't think he was. I think he was lying. I think
he was lying to us too.
Yeah. I think it was all. But at that point in time, there was still that idea of like, okay, the older Democrats wouldn't vote for somebody who was pro-gay marriage, so you had to disguise some of your beliefs, and stuff like that. And then you see the shift of, it's like now we're so far past any of that. It's now, if you're not pro, like you couldn't name a Democrat that's not pro, transing children or abortion
Hardly.
up until birth.
Yeah.
Or if they
although Fetterman
Yeah, but he's hated by his party.
He is hated.
They
Isn't
call
that
him
crazy?
a Nazi. Yeah, it's like they hate his guts.
I want to get back to him. Remind me later. But anyway, I'll let you continue.
Anyway, that's what I'm saying is they turn on you. If you're not pro all these things, they turn on you and they call you a Nazi. They hate you. And what we've seen now is they want to kill us. They want to kill. And even in their own party, like you said, you point out like you can find RFK. RFK was a Democrat and then he just goes, I'm kind of more centrist, and then they turn on him to call him a Nazi, saying he's wanting to kill children, all this stuff. So it's like there's such a divide now, to the point we've been talking about this a few days, and a lot of people have mentioned this. It really is there's two Americans at this point.
Yeah,
and that's how I think this was an event that where everyone knew it. Everyone had that gut feeling, and we just kind of ignored it, especially the younger people, because they didn't want to they didn't really want to put any weight into it.
Nobody wanted to say it out loud.
Yeah, but also like people would say it out loud, but no one wanted to really do anything about it, if that makes sense. Right. This is like the least motivated generation ever. We just want to make social media videos and get paid to sit at home.
The sad thing is my generation are the parents who allowed it.
Yeah. Well, that's who started. The millennials is who started it.
It's a travesty, and it's like, man, that's anyway. So yeah, that's the reason why I wanted to go to that. And Trent, did you have anything to say to that?
Yeah, actually. So I same thing. First president that I remember was Obama being elected. I remember Mom coming into my room to wake me up for school, and she's like, "Hey, Obama won," and I didn't know why that was bad, but I remember being like, "Crap," But I just
That's how I was too. I remember being sad, but I don't know why. I couldn't explain why I was sad.
As he removed the pillowcase from his head with the 2 holes cut in. I'm kidding. I'm totally joking, guys. Not even close.
But definitely not. But no, seriously, it go back before 2014, and I would have said we have major disagreements with the left. Okay, they're they've got pro gay marriage. We're not okay with that. They're pro this. We're not okay with that. They're pro whatever. But I still felt like they were Americans. I felt like they were deceived. I felt like they were unchristian. But I felt like they were Americans, and I felt like, hey, if a great tragedy happens, they would, we would probably still unite or whatever. And then as time has gone on, it's become less and less and less like this. So then it was, we're still Americans, but okay, this many babies are aborted here. That's really, really wicked. They really hate the things that I believe. They really hate what Christianity stands for. They really even hate America. Oh wow, communism. Wow, that people are loving the thing that was the enemy number one of America for the longest time.
Marxism, communism.
Exactly. It's like, okay, wow, that's really interesting. But I still thought, even when the people would celebrate if someone died, I always thought, well, they would just celebrate if you died coincidentally from a heart attack or a car wreck. I never thought that these people would actually want to kill me. And that is what just happened. That is what we just saw. Is I actually have realized, like, no. And I know it's not all of them, but it's a vast majority. It's not the far left. I'm sorry, when you have elected officials who boo a moment of silence, it's like, okay, that's not the fringe anymore. It's the norm, right?
Yeah. Well, they didn't boo the moment of silence. They booed the loud prayer. They wanted to do an actual audible prayer.
Oh yes, that's right. Yes.
Either way.
Either way. We just have to make sure that we get it right. That's all I'm saying.
But yes, you are correct. But point being is there's been a huge shift, and no, I don't feel like there's unity is coming from the Charlie Kirk. It's the exact opposite.
I think that we'll get to that because I want to kind of slowly work through this. So y'all grew up with a different Democrat Party and even probably Republican Party, honestly, than what we have now. And kind of the dynamics of it are different than when I was young. And so I'm just curious to see, and I think I know the answer because I know y'all, but just for other people out there from your generation, what do y'all think about the Democrats that are condemning? Because what here's what I'm gonna say that I could see people saying. Is I could see people saying, yes, you're saying that about Democrats, but there are plenty of Democrats condemning this. There are plenty of Democrats saying political violence is never okay. It's never okay. And so what would y'all say to that when they're calling for unity and we need to bring the temperature down? They're like, hey, we're condemning this. We're condemning it. And they say we need to all come together as Americans. Even Republicans are saying that. What do y'all think about that? Because y'all have grown up knowing Democrats and Republicans being on far reaches, not even really holding hands on anything, not even on liberty and justice for all in recent years. And so, or life at that, life, and that's kind of my definition of American is like you at least have to hold to these core things is life, liberty, and justice for all. And it seems like they maintain none of them. But anyway, that's me. I just want to see what y'all think.
I think they're liars.
Yeah. Okay. Well, tell me why you think they're liars and why you don't think it's sufficient that they're just condemning.
I think it's the kid getting caught with their hand in the cookie jar.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Of they're ashamed a little bit. I think there is people. I'm sure there are people. I'm not saying, I'm broad brushing for sure. There are people who would align somewhat with the Democrats who are like, oh no, this is bad.
Again, Fetterman.
But broad brushing of saying, okay, what we see, the loud voices who are speaking out, well, majority, what you see right now, if you get online, is celebration of it. But even the people who are saying like, oh no, we need to unite. Let's wind time back, 6 months of unite with what? 6 months ago, you were saying Charlie Kirk was calling for the genocide of transgender people, or not even calling for it. Yeah. Further than that, they said he's causing the genocide of transgender people. He's causing, violence against these people by just speaking and stuff like that. So it's like, what did you think was going to happen? I don't think they're stupid. I don't think they're idiots. I don't think they're thinking like, okay, we can just say all we want and nothing will ever come of it. I think they knew, not that it would happen to Charlie Kirk, but I mean, not that long ago we saw Trump got shot at. Yeah, and they didn't. They toned it down for a week, and then they went back to.
I don't even think they toned it down for a week.
Yeah, I mean, they celebrated that. So many celebrities, so many of these politicians. I mean, we have people that sat in our Senate, in our House, who celebrated it. Yep. And the same for this. You'll see them. You'll see their true colors eventually. Once it gets back to where they feel safe again to start celebrating, they will. And they'll say, just like you saw in the news, they'll say, he brought it upon himself because of what he said.
Yeah, I think that what you're seeing when y'all are explaining this is that when they got complete power when Obama was in office, and they just seemed to be winning and winning and winning, and like they could do no wrong. Once they had the side of the media completely, the media stopped being the media. Yep. They just started reporting whatever the Democrats essentially. Honestly, I'm not into conspiracy theories at all, but it really does seem like the media is handed a list of talking points and they recite it.
100%.
And I mean, you can say whatever, that's not reality, but man, listen to them. It is crazy because it will be nonsense, and it's just like things that if you just open your eyes, aren't true. And so it's just interesting because it's like, how did we get here? Do y'all think, and I guess I'll go to Trim with this, do you think that it's because they got complete power and it went to their head, or do you think that they just saw the opportunity? How do you view it?
Yeah, first, Matt, what you said was well said. I was glad you made the clarification. We're not saying that anybody who's Democrat attached to their name is one of these people, but I think it's the majority of the people who call themselves woke are this way, where they hate the things that we stand for, and they hate who we are. And
hate is one thing, just to hate an ideology, but to act on it.
Yeah, and they're willing to act on it. That's been proven time and time again. To answer your question, you're asking, I just want to clarify, like, how did we get here?
I was trying to say, do you think that the root cause of it is the fact that they saw an opportunity because they gained all the power and they kind of got arrogant, overzealous, and thought that there's nothing that they could do because of the media backing them that would be reviled or talked against.
Gotcha.
Like, you understand what I'm saying? From y'all's generation standpoint, because look, I'll be honest with you. I know that your generation isn't big news watchers. That's the 80-year-old guy still watching CNN.
Right.
Like in his living room late at night. Like, y'all don't do that. Y'all watch short clips. Y'all watch social media.
Right.
I don't. Like, I do have YouTube. That's it. Like, I have no social media. And so it's like, I'm just curious from y'all's perspective, when you see stuff, or I guess when you're talking about your generation, when you're thinking through, like, what are people seeing come across their feeds and stuff like that? What message are they being given?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. So, well, first of all, okay, any type of dictatorship, they always go after the media. I mean, that's so huge in a nation, is if you can control what is quote unquote true or what seems to be true, you can control a nation. And I think that's exactly what's happened. Is I think the Democrats got control vastly of the media. Obviously, you had some conservative talking heads on Fox News, but they even weren't like really traditionally conservative, except for maybe a handful. And by and large, all the other ones were extremely liberal and woke and left leaning. And so the only thing you see from what's called legacy media, or like the big news outlets, it's all liberal talking points. You're not going to see major conservative talking points on these news sites.
Well, yeah, and I agree with you. I think that is a problem. I guess my curiosity is, from y'all's standpoint, and y'all are looking at your generation, they're not watching CNN and stuff, but they're still being deceived. And so where is this come? Like, when they get their news feed, when they get their ideas of what's going on, where is it coming from in social media? Is it coming from news outlets? Is it coming from legacy media? Or is it coming from somewhere else?
Well, okay. Partially, yes. I think young people look at the news more than probably what
I think.
Probably what's thought. Yeah, just because I know when something happens, I Google it, and a lot of time legacy media is what pops up, and I always take it with a massive, gargantuan grain of salt, and then I go to
a really big one. You put a lot of weight into it.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm joking.
But then I go to my preferred news sites to compare or whatever. But so I think that's a huge problem, part of it. And then I think, man, you got podcasts are huge, and just like we listen to the podcasts that we enjoy, there's plenty of podcasts that are super woke and are going to push the left agenda, and they're going to be they're going to be in their own leftist echo chamber that tells them the left talking points exactly what they want to hear, and nobody's ever going to tell them different.
Yeah, I have a slight disagreement with it. Well, not necessarily what you're saying, but I think there's a missing point of two is I don't think there's a difference between social media and legacy media.
Okay.
Because
I agree.
you look at up until Elon Musk bought X, there was no difference. You look at 2020 election, look at what happened. Yeah. Look at Facebook censoring things, taking things down that they knew were true. The FBI was involved in that. It's like you can go on and on for years. It's just recently where they've kind of let the grip off, where they, because some of it I think is fear, because when Trump actually got elected, despite all of the fake propaganda they were putting out, it's like there's a fear of repercussion. So they're like, okay, well let's loosen the grip. And then you have Elon buying X, or Twitter turning into X, which was a huge part of allowing people to actually speak again. But think of 2020 of people. You had actual doctors and stuff being removed throughout COVID off of YouTube, Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah.
All these just for questioning things and stuff like that. It's like, so.
And actually giving good advice.
Yeah. And it's like, you had the man who created the type of vaccine that they were using that got completely.
It wasn't a vaccine, but yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
The mRNA injection, like, he got banned.
I know.
Yeah, it's like all these things of like. So I don't see a distinction. I think my generation grew up with this censorship, with you know, you had a time of when I was younger where there wasn't, like Trim was talking about, like you go back to like 2014, it started around then, but like YouTube and stuff during that time was kind of Wild West a little bit, you know, where you'd see stuff and you're like, oh, how is that allowed?
Yeah.
But then it went far left, and then you've seen it kind of come back a little bit. So now people are almost like forgetting. It's like, but there's no separation between the it's been that way for a while now.
So
it's a good
like
distinction.
Places like YouTube, and I agree with you, and I wasn't real big on YouTube at all back then for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like if like people demanded that they got their stuff together and basically, hey, you got to start not putting stuff on there, like censoring it.
Yeah.
Well, when you tell a liberal to censor stuff, what do you think is going to happen? They're obviously going to lean towards a certain side, and they're going to censor what they deem fit. And so I wonder if that has I'm not saying fact. Like, I don't know. I don't know the studies. Like, I've got nothing on that. It just seems like common sense. But I think that what you've seen, and this is the old man perspective, right, is that there is a generation that no longer knows how to think critically.
Yep.
They're told something from a talking head that they like. And it's like, okay, so think about it in these terms. Back when I was young, there were certain superstars that were like, okay, you had like Michael Jackson that was huge. Like you had Michael Jordan that was huge. You had all these guys, and like people like looked up to him, and they just thought the world of him in a sense. Maybe not Michael Jackson, but anyway. People looked up to him, and they kind of worshipped him in the sense of like they kind of hung on to everything that they did and said, but they weren't political.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, that's completely different, and there's way more superstars. There's not just a few. Like, there was like, okay, you had Arnold Schwarzenegger, you had this guy. It was like very few, as an elite few, and they tried to not be political. And now it's like you have everybody since YouTube, especially since YouTube, is like everybody has this following. They have millions of followers, and no matter what they say, no matter how outlandish, no matter how whatever, they just buy in. It's just like, well, my guy said it, that's it. And it's like, it seems like that feeds into this this ability, because, and you might be like, man, y'all are so far off the Charlie Kirk thing, and it's like, no, I'm trying to see what people think about it, because there are things that have gotten us here, and when you have a society that is now saying that the assassin, and it's being widely spread and believed that the assassin was actually far right, is insane, and people are believing it.
Yeah, it is crazy.
And all of the proof points completely the other way. There's no way. Like, it is definitely a left-wing transgender activist, no doubt about it.
Yeah, he himself is not trans, just to clarify. But
he's an activist.
But you're not. Well, I'll put it this way: no far right person lives with their transgender boyfriend who is transitioning from a boy into a girl. It just doesn't really happen when you're far right.
Well, I mean,
it never happens.
The bottom line is he was following the whole Biden thing and all that. He promoted Biden. It was like, we know that this guy was far left, and we know that this guy had an ideology that was entangled in the whole transgender thing.
I think they're just deranged, honestly. I think it's you have people, I think the people higher up are lying. I think they just try and lie to keep their base, to keep it's propaganda is what it is. They're going, oh, he's a right wing, and it just pushes the left even further of going, well, see, it's the actually it was the right, they're infighting, they're the violent ones, is what they want to say. And then it goes back to, and what you said a while ago is, you're like, kind of, what did this all lead up to? And it is this, you have these this hierarchy, I guess you would say, almost of where they look up to, oh, well, this guy, you hear it all the time if you listen to any of these people, it's oh, well, this person said this, or this person said this, and that they're, what's your qualifications? Like, did you go to school for this? It's like, that's the only way you have.
Yeah, we talked about that in the last one that we didn't.
Yeah. But then what those people are telling them is they're telling them, it all starts with that of they're telling them, hey, if someone says something you don't like, that's violence to you.
Yeah.
They're attacking you. And that's
they're erasing you. They're committing genocide
against you. And it starts with the talking heads, the elite, or whatever you want to call them, the qualified people. It starts with that, and then you get these people who are, whatever you want to call it, mentally ill or whatever. And it's like they just fully buy into it.
Well,
they fully buy into
look,
that.
the colleges have produced. I'm not saying all look, if you go to be an engineer, study math and stuff like that are objective truths, and
they tried to do it with that too.
Yeah, I know. In university,
Yeah.
like there's qualities there to be learned and all that. But the bottom line is, a lot of colleges are pumping out complete, I hate to say it, morons. They don't know how to think for themselves. And they're also taught these things that, like, hey, my professor taught me that, and that's what I go to school to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Is they're radicalized. They're told that no, this is violence against us. That the rich need to be punished.
Yeah,
and then you get a guy
because they're stealing from people. It's not
a CEO gets shot in cold blood in the middle of New York, and they're cheering.
Yeah,
and it's like, so anyway, I think that, where do we go from here? What do y'all think? I guess I want to ask two different questions, because in a free society, we can't just shut down social media in the truest sense, not completely. In other words, we can't shut down all the voices that you don't like. And so it's like,
neither do we want to.
Neither do we want to. We can't. Our freedom, a free society doesn't exist, and that's why our founder said it must be a moral society. And we're not right now. At least half of us aren't. And so I guess what I'm trying to ask is, I want to ask two questions. I want to ask, what's the solution, in y'all's opinion, for this generation? How do we fix it without getting rid of free speech? I guess I'll even ask from a Christian perspective. A Christian, because, I mean, we are Christians. We're Christian citizens.
Yeah.
And so from a Christian perspective, what do you think the answer is to this in a free society? And then I'm going to ask you another question of where do we think that this is going, and what the reaction will be. But
I'll give two answers. One is theological. The other one is more policy.
Practical.
Theologically, okay, what's the solution here? Okay, well, it's the gospel.
Yeah.
It's the message that Jesus Christ living a perfect life on our behalf, because we could never live it, fulfilling the law, dying on the cross, making payment for our sins, and then raising from the dead, making the Father totally pleased with those who trust in Christ for their salvation. That message going forth and changing hearts and true, not, when I say revival, not Billy Graham tent revival, no offense, and not those, I mean genuine, vast amounts of people being saved. That's the complete solution. More practically, is you talked about being a moral nation. Okay, well, part of that is being just, and our nation has totally lost the sense of justice.
Yeah.
It takes. We sentence a guy for murder, and how many murderers get the death penalty? Probably very little. And then the amount that do get it, they sit in a prison cell for almost the rest of their life before they get it, or even if it's not, it should be carried out within the week. There's not the correct consequences for the actions that are being held. And in fact, almost the opposite. Depending on the color of your skin, you might be benefited by the court system. You might be privileged by the court system. You want to talk about, okay, well, white privilege. Will you tell me why a black judge just let a man out of jail who had been arrested 14 times just for him to go stab a young white woman in the neck on a train? So that's the more practical side. I think we've got to get back to that sense of morality that calls for justice.
Yeah, the foundations of our very Constitution. Even as Americans, the only way that we can join hands and have unity is, again, we have to have certain aspects that we can all agree on. And those for our country are biblically based. Look, the left people might not like it. It's just fact. Is that we believe in life, the right to life, the right to liberty, the right to justice. We believe in all these things that encompass everything that our founding fathers were focusing on. The freedom for property, all that stuff, like to have your own property and stuff. And it's that foundation that was based biblically. Even our like you would say, our judicial system is based off of it.
Yeah.
And yet we've forsaken it so much that it's causing issues. What about you, Matt? What do you think that the solution is going forward?
I mean, I think the same thing. I think in a sense of obviously theologically is from a Christian perspective is we pray for these people's souls, but at the same time of what whoever they are, we're praying for their souls. We hope that we see that revival, that our nation comes to realize that Christ is King, and but also like you said, justice. I think this is a point where it awakens people in a sense of not just calling for justice, but demanding it, of drawing a line in the sand and saying, hey, and it's not like we have to create new laws, or we have a constitution that demands these things, and you are spitting in the face of it. You are spitting in the face of the thing that you vowed you would hold to.
Yeah.
That these judges, these lawyers, all these people, and even the politicians, they get into office, and then you hear things like, "I'm here for the Somali people."
Yeah.
Is 100 years ago we would kick that person out of the country.
Yeah.
And I think we need to get back to a point of that. And that sounds harsh, but I do think we need to get a draw
line. You're not
line.
representing the Somali people.
You're a representative.
Yeah.
And of the American people. What does that mean?
By the way, just in case you are confused, we got onto Ted Cruz for saying that he wanted to be on the side of Israel no matter what.
Yeah, same thing.
We were like, dude, you're here to represent the American people. Now, we ultimately agreed with the bombing of Iran.
Yeah.
But it wasn't because of that.
No, it wasn't.
And anyway,
but that's what pretty much the gist of it is.
Yeah.
I hope these people draw a line in the sand, like by these people, the people who are angry right now, the people who look at this and feel the injustice to our society for years, to our culture, the look back to remind yourself of COVID, remind yourself of the BLM riots, remind yourself of this assassination, and go, okay, hey, no more. I don't want my kids growing up in a society that allows for just rampant crime everywhere, that allows for people to walk free after they stab people, and allows all these just heinous things to happen in our society. It's like, no, we want a society that's just and objective truth. I think that's another
objective truth has to be
a line we draw in the sand of there is no, this has been going on for decades, but there is no your truth. There is just the truth.
Yeah.
And no more of your.
This isn't tax policy.
Yeah, this isn't a subjective thing of, no, there's no more of this this man feels like a woman, so they are a woman. If you don't call him this, you're no more of that. No more. I think
that's got to be thrown out.
Yeah.
Also, real quick, whenever you get the chance, Matt, could you look up a picture of the girl on the train? Just because, I want people to see it. I really do. I want you to see it, and I want you to feel angry.
Yeah,
I want you to care.
Yeah.
No, I mean we shouldn't forget about this stuff. I think that one thing that Christians have failed at and I don't want to, I'm not broad brushing. I'm just going to say more than half. I'll be willing to say that.
Yeah.
Okay. We lost our sense of justice and the fact of like righteous anger and calling sin. And we thought that it was our only job was to just love people no matter what. And yes, we are to love our enemies. We are to love our enemies. Look, and I always said this, the people that would shoot me in the head if they were going hungry, I'd feed them. If they were thirsty, I'd give them water. But you know what I wouldn't do is agree with them.
No.
And the thing is like, it's so crazy because in the Bible, it does say that we must love and pray for our enemies. But you know what? It doesn't say that we should deny that we have enemies. And so it is right to point out your enemies. It is right to acknowledge the fact that we have enemies. And it's about time that men man up. Yeah. And they start coming to that reality that there are enemies that are coming not just for you. They're coming for your kids. They're coming for your churches. They're coming for everything because they're wicked and evil. These ideologies need to be done away with.
Absolutely.
Protect your country. Protect your family. Yep. Most of all, protect the truth. Do it because it's true. Like, we have to be men that stand up for truth. And we can't, everybody keeps saying join hands, and I'm just kind of going on a little bit of a tangent. We're going to get back to what y'all think. But we cannot forsake the truth. You better be willing to die for the truth. We have to get back to being true men. And it's like, no, I'm not going to give up on this one. I'm not. And I'm not talking about, again, we can have debates about things that are tax policy and all that. What we can't have a debate about is whether a man is a woman or not.
Yeah.
What we can't have a debate about is whether a baby is that's at 9 months about to be born can be killed. Like, that's not debatable here, people. That's wicked and evil. We need to call it what it is. It's wicked and evil. When you're transing the kids, you're wicked and evil. It's a wicked and evil thing. It's a wicked and evil ideology. The ideology is an enemy ideology that needs to be destroyed. We were willing to say that after 9/11 happened when we look at the radical Muslims. Mm-hmm. When we looked at radical Islam that was wanting to kill us, and we said, that's wicked. That didn't last long. Mm-hmm. Now we have people awaking again to a wicked ideology. And I would beg that the same thing doesn't happen. That people forget and they start sympathizing with the ideology. We don't sympathize with the ideology. We want to destroy it. We hate the ideology. It's an enemy.
Yeah.
Bottom line, I don't know. Anyway,
no, I agree
that's
with
my
you.
tangent.
And there's no, and I know, and there is no, I think there never has been, but there's no separation in church and state in this sense of yes, we believe in a separation of church and state, which our nation is founded upon. But it's like, what does that mean? It doesn't mean that the church is set by quietly. It's like, no, you tell the truth. You are the only ones with the truth. We must tell the truth. And it's like, and whatever that is, like I said, objective truth is I mean, the Bible. We
must do it in love.
Do it in love. It's not a call to pick up your arms and go force people to believe the truth. We're not Islam, but it's still of you can't sit back and the fact
you don't have to shoot a gun to speak the truth.
No. And like the church can't sit back and be happy and content with, well, we meet on Sunday and we're all happy and everything's warm. And it's like, no, when your society around you is crumbling, when you're sending your children off to school and they're being told that maybe they're born in the wrong body. It's like, you can't sit happily by the side and just be like, well, this is a government issue and I don't really deal with politics.
This is the world. Our kingdom is not of this world. And because we're part of an eternal kingdom, this doesn't really matter. The world's being the world. And look, I have said that the world is going to be the world. And that's true. It is true. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't mean that we sit idly by. And I challenged myself after one thing that happened with Charlie Kirk for me. And I'll say that I've told y'all this, and I said it again in the previous episode that we're not posting. But is what really came to my mind is, why do I see things that have been given to me throughout my life, a house, money, children, you name it, and I say I'm to steward those things well.
Yeah.
I'm to steward those things. As a Christian man, I should steward those things. I'm responsible to what God has blessed me with to steward those things. And now, what about your nation that's been given to you? Your nation that was based on biblical principles, where freedom and justice is supposed to be there, where the freedom to worship is supposed to be there. And yet we're just going to let it go. You've been put here for a reason as a Christian man. And you better steward what has been gifted to you. If you're going to enjoy the fruits of what has come from this nation, dadgummit, be willing to fight for stewarding it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's like, don't give up on it. View this as stewardship. We view everything else as Christians as stewardship. This is one of them.
Yeah.
Don't forsake it.
And just another thought is, we talk about storming the gates of hell. And it's like, would you not say this is the gates of hell? Of looking at, of saying, okay, how many babies are murdered a year?
Yeah.
It's like, is that
true,
not worth fighting for? Is that not?
Should be.
Is that human life not worth fighting for?
Yeah.
Not worth a fence of risking of how many Christians bite their tongues because a coworker says, is pro-choice or whatever you want to call it. It's like, how many? It's like, is that not worth the fence of offending that person over a human life? It's like that. We should be willing, like you said, should be bold and motivated to tell the truth.
Look, loving your neighbor cannot be separated from the truth.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
And although, like I said, everything has to be considered in how you say it, I think that you need to be good at communicating. That's the sad thing about Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was so good at communicating to people while being respectful and saying it in a loving way.
Yeah.
And they killed him for it.
And yeah,
it's crazy.
And two thoughts on that is someone pointed out, this came back to mind from something we were saying earlier, is one of the things I've been seeing going around is people say, why is this so impactful? It's not, we've seen not my generation, but generations have seen political figures get assassinated, and all this stuff. And people point out, it's like, okay, well, no, like, I saw this woman post and I thought it was really good. And she's like, well, no, when I looked at Charlie Kirk, I saw my husband. She's like, I saw just a regular guy who just went out and spoke. And then
it's like, read the room, man.
Yeah, read the room.
Like, read the room. It's like, let's not deny the reality. Anyway, really quick, because we're going long. I don't know what we got on the timer, but I know we couldn't record long because it's the second episode to record this week.
No, we're good. We're fine.
I just want to wrap this up by what I have my opinions of where this might be headed. What do y'all think?
Yeah. Well, do you mind if we look at that real quick? What I had him pull up.
Yeah.
So here's what I'm saying. If you're listening to this, please stop. Pull it up on YouTube. I want you to see this because it matters. It matters. I want you to think this is a daughter, a sister, and it's the lack of justice in our nation.
It didn't show the full.
It didn't show the full
Oh, well, either way.
Let me see.
The bottom line is that this young lady, and if you haven't seen the footage, it's heartbreaking. It really is heartbreaking. It's gut-wrenching. This young lady gets stabbed on a train, and the guy yells out that he took her out, that white bee, whatever. And she curls up and just starts to weep, knowing that she got stabbed. She obviously doesn't know what to do. She's scared to death. And she literally sits there amongst fellow Americans as she just dies. Yep.
That's disgusting.
It is disgusting in our nation that, and I challenged myself on this because there's one guy at the back of the train, and he probably didn't see what I know he didn't see what happened. I know he didn't. Mm-hmm. And it's like, and the guy just yelled something, seemed like a maniac, and walked out, I'm sure. And then this girl's just kind of crying, and his thought process, and I'm thinking the best of this guy, okay? I just go with me on this, because I know a lot of people would be mad. There's no excuse, and I'm not saying there is an excuse. This is what I'm getting at. Is let's say that this guy didn't see what happened. He had no clue that she had just gotten stabbed. And he probably didn't, honestly. But then there's this young lady weeping, curled up in her seat after something like that. She obviously got scared to death. Why don't we check on people?
Yeah. Don't just assume that it was
like,
nothing.
It's just like, what has happened to our nation? And it made me really think, is like, when I see stuff happen, man, go out of your way to check on people. See if they're okay. Like, when you see something like that happen, don't just sit idly by. Be a man and go and engage with the world. I mean, especially as a Christian. Even if she just got scared and nothing actually happened to her physically. Mm-hmm. Is that not an opportunity for the gospel? Is that not an opportunity to show the love of Christ to that young lady? And yet this guy, I could see he was curious of what was going on. And he kind of looked and looked curious, but he didn't get up.
Yeah, he slinked back.
And
it's weakness.
It is, but it's like, man, there's ton in our society that would do that. Tons. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's like,
you see it all the time.
I told myself, never will I do that.
Yeah.
If I see something that I'm curious about like that, I refuse to sit by and say, well, that was probably just this. We don't have afforded that anymore, man. Like, and plus, we just need to check on people.
Yeah.
Like our hearts have grown cold.
Yeah, and this, I think, goes hand in hand with the Charlie Kirk assassination, because you saw people, the anger when they saw these videos of what you were saying. They see this young girl curled up, and they're thinking, that could be my daughter, that could be my wife, and stuff.
It's heartbreaking.
And one, nobody checking on her, but two,
she's the same age as my wife.
Yeah, is being murdered in cold blood for no reason. And then two, with Charlie Kirk, is like those two things should motivate us as men. It should just be burned into your brain of motivating you, of saying,
don't forget it.
Yeah, don't forget of seeing him fall over and saying, hey, he was shot for telling the truth. And that shouldn't invoke fear in us, especially as Christians. Is that should drive us on of saying, all the more do we need more people to be telling the truth. Is like he has huge shoes to fill. Shoes to fill. And it's going to take a lot of people to fill those, and I hope and pray that there is just millions of people who
that does
rise to the call.
That does remind me. I want to answer your last question that you've posed. If you'll restate it, and then we can answer it. But then I also have, after that, I have a question for both of you. So
okay, here's what I do want to say is that going off of that is. I lost it, but I was going to say something in the fact of, like, we should be angry.
We should be.
And don't forget it. Don't let things go by I know what I was going to say. I got it. Is if we're going to make the comment that we're living for a kingdom not of this world. Look, our inheritance isn't of this world. Sorry, Post Mills. Like, Jesus said, my kingdom's not of this world. And he said that if I wanted to, I could order an army of, whatever. I'm not getting down that road. But the bottom line is because of that truth that you're going to inherit something eternal. This isn't all there is. That should drive you to interact with this world in a positive way, to go out there for truth and be a warrior for truth more than ever, because you know that this isn't your final stop. You know that this isn't your final reward, that there are greater things to come, and so you're willing to give up all. If it doesn't drive you to that, you're thinking of it wrong.
Yeah.
And that's convicting to me, because I've been thinking of it wrong a lot. I'll throw it out there, like I just have in the past. And it's like, no more. Like, you can't sit idly by and watch injustice go on and think, we're the church, they're the world. No, because you're the church, because you have eternal hope, because you have things promised to you, you're not living for this world. Well, then go out there and affect it. Like, go out there and give your life for the truth. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, it should drive you to do that. And if it doesn't, I think we got it wrong.
Yeah.
I really do.
We got it very wrong.
Anyway, Trent, you were saying pose the last question. The last question I was going to ask is really quick, just for y'all to sum up. Where do y'all think this is going from here? Do y'all think this is going to be a net positive, a net negative? Do you think that good kind of starts to conquer evil? What? I mean, the Charlie Kirk assassination, what horrible incident, but we know that horrible incidents, God will make something good out of it. Is this one of those things where we'll see a revival, something?
Yeah, the optimistic side of me, which is very few and far between, that you could call me an optimistic, but I lean more pessimistic, obviously.
I'm very pessimistic.
Yeah, but the optimistic side of me, and I think it's Christians. I can't help but be somewhat optimistic, and as I look at it, and I keep hearing this of seeing these videos of Charlie Kirk and like what the White House shared and all these, and it's like Romans 8 is saying all things work out for good, and I've seen. Just scrolling on social media, even though, and me and Trim were talking about this earlier, is like there's so much sadness because you're seeing these videos of him and his wife and his girls and stuff. But I also see people some people who've, aren't political, that are kind of coming around and going, okay, well, something here. There's something about this man. Yeah. And then you see people who are political who maybe kind of just chose a center, whatever it may be. I see it all over X and Instagram and stuff of people saying, hey, I started seeing all these videos and I wanted to know what drove this man. What you were saying earlier is like he seemed very kind. He seemed very respectful. It's like, how was he respectful to these people who hated him, who were cussing at him and stuff like that? And I've seen this drive people to, a lot of people are coming to the conclusion that, oh, well, it's his faith. He kept saying, it's my faith. Well, what is that?
It's Christ.
And I've seen, it's Christ. And I see, after this past Sunday, I saw video after video of people saying, hey, I went to church for the first time today because of Charlie Kirk. And it's like, and I hope that continues. And what we've been saying all along is I hope this is a turning point, pun intended, of that people say they draw a line in the sand, but not only politically, but also of people looking at this man's life and saying what was unique about him, and realizing that it was Christ, and it drawing people to
Charlie
Christ.
Kirk wouldn't point to Charlie Kirk; he would point to Christ. Yeah,
and he did. That was a point I forgot to say earlier. Is one of the things he said was during that podcast with the OnlyFans girls. Is they asked him, they said, hey, you've been the most respectful person to us. And he says, well, it's not me. He says, this is going to sound crazy to you, but it's the Holy Spirit in me.
Wow.
And he said, it's Christ working on me. He said, I used to not be this way, but Christ has changed me. And I'm sure they did think he was crazy, but like the boldness to just be able to say that, it's like, I want to be that way.
What do you think those ladies are feeling like today? Seriously.
Yeah. No,
being treated like that.
I actually thought of that.
Yeah. And that, guys, you never know what impact you can have, the seeds that you can plant, and what it turns into later on. I'm not saying that those ladies are definitely believers now. I'm not saying that, but
you don't know.
Guaranteed the impact was made massively.
Yeah.
Anyway, Trent.
Yeah. So just same exact thing that Matt said. I don't know what does the fallout exactly look like, politically and this and that. I don't know. What I am seeing though is that even my wife texted me this weekend. She said, "Hey, pray for my coworker. She's told me that she's been inspired by Charlie Kirk to go buy a Bible and start reading it, and she hasn't done that before." And am I saying that automatically makes her a Christian? No, but I'm saying that the Lord might use that to save her. And there's so many posts that we're seeing like that, and man, it's incredible. So I think that's a big positive.
Huge positive.
It's at least pointing people in a direction.
Absolutely.
And look, we know that are all these people going to end up being true believers? No, but they're going to the Bible. We should celebrate. They're going and they're seeking out truth at churches, maybe. I mean, look, I could get in all the theological terms, whatever. But the bottom line is people are looking for something, right now. And I think that what my hope is that it's found in the true gospel of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
My hope and my best case scenario here is that this doesn't just reveal the wickedness in the world, but they see the wickedness in their own heart.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's needed here, is that we need to be confronted that, oh, yes, what happened out there is evil and wicked, and I haven't committed that, but I have broken the law of God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I need a Savior. And if that happens and the Holy Spirit starts to move, people's hearts will be changed, and look, society will change. It has to. Now the post-mills are going to be happy with me. That saved people typically, or especially in a free society where we vote in our elected officials, are going to produce a more functional society. They're going to produce a more godly society.
Yeah.
It's fact, because God has promised that He work in the hearts of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, and by the way, politically, like I said earlier, we can join hands with people that have the same values as us, and although they're not Christians in the truest sense, they hold the same values of like, hey, if somebody is against abortion, I don't mind joining hands with them and saying, yes, we both agree that's wicked, right? Anyway, Trent, I don't know if you had something else.
Yeah. So okay. Something I've been thinking about a lot. I was listening to J.D. Vance went and stood in the place of Charlie Kirk and did the Charlie Kirk show today. And he told a story.
Well, it was yesterday. But
he did it yesterday. It came out today.
By the time we post it, it'll be a couple days, I guess. But anyway, go ahead.
But he told this story. He was talking to Charlie Kirk's wife, Erica, and she said, Charlie was such a great husband. He never raised his voice at me. He never cussed at me. He never, did any of that. He was very kind to me and took care of me and just wanted to know all the time how he could better serve me. That is something that J.D. Vance was like, I'm inspired to become a better husband. And that's something that I took from that, too. It's inspirational to me to become a better husband and be a more Christ-like husband. And also, Charlie was very bold in his faith. That's something that I want to grow in and be inspired by, and bold for the truth. My question to y'all, too, is what about Charlie Kirk's life and in his death has inspired y'all? Like, what's something y'all have taken from the situation and been like, I want to emulate that?
I guess so. It's funny because I've been interviewing y'all of how y'all have had contact with Charlie Kirk and stuff, and come in contact with his content and stuff like that. And y'all are like, well, we didn't follow him majorly, but once I investigated, stuff like that. And the truth is, I did, like, on YouTube, I've watched some of his shorts, and I always appreciated some of the things that he would say and all that stuff. I never really got into it because it's like, oh man, these college debates, it just wasn't like, I'm not that generation. And so it's just like, but I'll say this. What has made the difference is, I'll tell you the biggest thing that's impacted me after hearing about this man is every single person. This guy obviously was very busy. Very busy.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how many interviews I've heard from so many people that have said that he would randomly text them, good job on that interview. Good job on this. Hey, man, I'm praying for you. Or verses or whatever. It's just shocking.
It really is, yeah.
How a man, now I'm not saying all of us have that gift, but I'll tell you this, what was challenging me is that is truly Christ-like, that man thought about others that much. And that's what kind of like, I'll tell you this, today at work, it kind of hit me, and I was like, I was a little more considerate of the people I was interacting with.
Yeah.
I was a little more talkative in a sincere way of, what's your name? Introducing yourself. Like, whereas it's like, hey, I just need to get out here. Like,
yeah.
And I'm not saying like we have to do that every single place, but it was just a fact of like engaging with people and like looking for those opportunities to impact lives, especially with the gospel. And if you're not willing to talk to people and show that you care at all, you're not going to be able to share the gospel.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be some random spots that God might provide for you, but ultimately, look, it's just looking outside of yourself and just being sacrificial with your time in that sense. I just, it's challenged me, honestly. And I think if more people were like that, I think that honestly this country would be way better off, and so would our churches.
Yeah, I agree. Matt, you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, I think the same thing of just seeing all the video clips of him the last few days has been, one, it's been motivating in the sense of starting out with saying, okay, well, it's motivating me to be more bold, to be more like, okay, this guy could be, he was very extremely bold and courageous in the public square, and I'm like, okay, I'm not, I realize my, I'm like, I'm not that person.
Right.
One, I'm not as well spoken as him or any even close to that, but it's just his boldness of just almost how, like, I've seen videos of him, just how quick he would respond with very truthful statements of just saying, well, I believe that's sin, or, just how he would just kind of work in the gospel into some of his answers and stuff. And that's another thing of I've really realized through the last few days is I've always kind of thought I've seen interviews with him throughout the last couple of years of where I'm like, okay, this dude seems like a really solid Christian. And then going back, it's like my feed is just flooded with clips of him talking about the gospel, and it's very solid presentation of the gospel. Very seemed like he had a fundamental understanding of his Christian faith, and that's just an awesome thing to look and say, okay, this man. And then, like I said, for me, it's motivating me to look at him and say, okay, this man was so courageous of knowing, like, he wasn't dumb. He knew going and sitting in that chair.
He was wearing a bulletproof vest. Yeah,
he knew every single day he woke up, I'm sure the thought crossed his mind of, I might not see my kid again. It's like,
honestly, the moment that he had, his last moment, I don't want to speak. It's just probably was that, honestly.
I'm sure it was constantly in the back of his mind, especially around big crowds and all this stuff. And you got to imagine the amount of death threats this man received, the amount of threats to his face of people trying to fight him and all this stuff like that. Like, he knew what he was doing was enraging evil people.
Yeah.
But he did it anyways. And I'm like, what more of a definition of a man is that?
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Is looking evil in the face and saying, I'm going to conquer that. It's like that's such a masculine.
I'm going to not just speak my truth. I'm going to speak the truth.
The truth, yeah.
And anyway.
Yeah.
Matt, you've got a clip or something? Or
you know what? I was just, the only thing I was thinking of is I might play this real quick if you want to pull it up.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm all for it.
You got to unmute me.
Wait, how would you, if you could be associated with one thing, how would you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. Most important thing is my faith.
You want to be remembered.
Yeah. I mean, if I die.
I mean, is there a better answer than that?
No, and that's what.
And based on the fact that the White House posted a tribute to him, and in it is a gospel presentation given by him, and it's inspiring a lot of people to seek out the Lord or things about God at the least. I would say that what he sought after, he did.
Even J.D. Vance, filling in on his show, gave a Nicene Creed presentation.
So awesome.
I mean, and look, we can have the whole Roman Catholicism debate. I'm not saying that J.D. Vance is definitely a Christian or whatever, like, truly. But God's truth is being...
Yeah, regardless of
who's saying it, it's being proclaimed. And we should celebrate in that this country is seemingly, now we'll see how it turns out, but man, if we could have revival from the bottom to the top or from the top to the bottom, whichever way, I don't care, from the heads of state down or from the roots of the people up, if we could have a revival not just in our civilians, but also in our representatives, that would be fantastic, and it would be good for our country. It'd be good for our fellow citizens. It would be good for souls, and we should want that. And we shouldn't say, you know what, this is just a world. It's, but we live here and we're here to do things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so let's get to work. I'm going to end it on that. Let's get to work as men, as Christian men. Let's be bold.
We want to close out with this this tribute. I saw you pulled it up, Matt.
Yeah. If I want to. Go with that.
Yeah. Let's close out with that.
Yeah.
To say, you know what, I don't like the way the country is going, and to do something about it. Take that risk. Take that leap of faith. Stay involved. Trust God and act obediently. Romans 12:2 verse. That God will use all things for good for those who love him. It's bigger than you. I want you to remember that. It is bigger than you. It's bigger than me. You are here to make somebody else's life better, the pursuit of liberty and freedom. You know what gives me strength? The hundreds of thousands of you that say, Charlie, keep going.
1 Corinthians 5 and 15. So that's all pretty amazing evidence, not just intra-biblical evidence, but extra-biblical evidence that Jesus Christ was a real person. He lived a perfect life. He was crucified, died, and rose on the third day, and he is Lord and God of all.